Hello and welcome to Marissa's 2024 Caffeine Detox. I haven't meant for this to be a yearly thing, but lately it just seems like every year I will like detox from caffeine, and then slowly my caffeine intake will increase until it's more regular than I would like it to be, and then I have to like intentionally cut back on it again for a while to get it to where I want it to be, and then it creeps back up. But you know, we all have our thing. Let me have this one weakness. When I was in Greece, my mom and I started having 2 coffees a day, so I just went like 2 weeks having 2 coffees a day. Got back 1 coffee a day. Now it's been like a week. I'm gonna go half calf for a little bit. Hi, good. Can I do an iced mocha with almond milk, please? And can you make it half calf? I've talked at length before about why I'm not a huge proponent of like chronic daily caffeine consumption, particularly for me, so I won't like bore you with the whole spiel, but like basically I don't like being dependent on a substance in order to feel good or even to feel normal. And then just also as someone who tends to be a higher stress individual, consumption of something that essentially just adds to that stress a little bit, probably not ideal. Just taking the cat, where is she? Somewhere over there. For her outside time, got a little post-coffee kombucha. One day, very soon, I'll be starting my day with kombucha instead of it being a post-coffee kombucha. Today is not that day. Also, yes, if you can hear it in my voice, I am a little bit sick. The 2 weeks in Greece was just, it was beautiful, amazing, but it was non-stop, go, go, go. Kind of stressful because we didn't plan too much in advance, and then we didn't sleep for like 28 hours straight on the way back home, and people were like coughing and doing all sorts of gross things on the airplane, and so I think that was just a recipe to get like a little cold, and so I have a little cold, but it's fine. I'm almost over it at this point. I think tomorrow might be the day that I actually start exercising again. I am so looking forward to like settling into routine in the second half of this year. Like I feel like the first half of 2024, lots of shifting of things happened. Like my life was just, it felt a little bit chaotic, but at this point I feel like things are settling down, they're getting stable. I'm gonna be able to kind of like build a routine for myself and really get into the swing of things, and I'm very excited about that. And I think sometime before I left for Greece, like a couple weeks before, I crossed a threshold into a new phase in my health and fitness journey, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. This little cat has been so spoiled lately with so much outside time, but it's great. We both love it. Boop. Alrighty, I am in a new evolution of my fitness journey. Let's talk about it. First of all though, I am drinking a Rebel protein, so if you see lots of chocolate just appearing. So I wanted to make this video because I feel like I've had a really big and profound shift in my health and fitness journey lately. For me, I feel like part 1 of my fitness journey was just like discovering fitness, discovering resistance training, nutrition, and all of the amazing things that that can bring into your life, and finding joy through it and finding a sense of empowerment through it. I had gone from not even really understanding or having a concept of the idea that women could lift weights in the gym. Like whenever I would go to the gym, it would always just be to do cardio because that's really all I knew that I was allowed to do. Like I just never really given thought to the idea that I could go lift weights. Crossing that bridge was obviously hugely transformative. I started this YouTube channel. My whole life became about fitness because I just fell in love with it. And then I feel like part 2 of my fitness journey for me came when I started going through topical steroid withdrawal. And I had already, obviously, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know, I had already been into like the holistic side of health, but going through topical steroid withdrawal really made me, you know, shift from prioritizing focusing on like lifting weights and eating a certain way to really just zooming out and focusing on whole body health and fitness just being a major component of that. I am still dealing with some skin issues, so that is still a part of my journey. We'll still be updating you guys on that. But a couple weeks ago, I noticed that a lot in my life had shifted In the last few months, like this first half of 2024, there have just been a lot of big shifts in my life. I've disconnected from a lot of big things. I've transitioned in a lot of big ways. I've connected to a lot of new things, and a lot of those shifts were kind of from the previous like year and a half of therapy, and all of that work just kind of clicking into place and finally building momentum with all of the things that I've learned and integrated in therapy. I have a whole video on my therapy journey if anyone wants more insight into that. I've worked with a therapist doing EMDR and parts work for the last almost 2 years now. She did literally just go on maternity leave though, so I am taking a break from therapy, which honestly I feel like is perfect timing for like all of this. And I promise I'm gonna tie this all back into like where I'm at with my fitness journey. But I started therapy just about 2 years ago now, right after I got out of an abusive relationship. And some of the biggest things that I have learned in therapy as I've kind of gone through all of that is learning how to trust myself and just kind of getting back in touch with my body and my intuition. And it wasn't until just a couple weeks ago that I realized how much of a shift I had made so far in this year in my life, and realized how much like recentering had happened for me. I feel like I'm just talking real theoretical right now, and it's probably not very helpful, but I don't know how else to explain. But basically I've gotten to a point where I feel like I'm really recentering and integrating all of the changes that I have made in therapy in the last 2 years, and this is the beginning of phase 3 of Marissa's health and fitness journey. And this feels like a phase of attunement and alignment, and with a much bigger focus on going inward instead of outward. Like the first 2 phases were very much focused on things that I can like go do, like actions that I can take. You know, I can go work out, I can choose to eat a certain way, I can set a bedtime routine, I can biohack, I can take all of the supplements, like I can do all of these things. But phase 3 is much more about turning inward and listening rather than just doing. And so my journey now feels much more like a journey of learning to listen to my body in so many new ways, and nervous system regulation, which I think kind of go hand in hand. Like I think the more I can learn to listen to my body and honor my body and trust my body, the better regulated my nervous system is gonna be. I think it's one will follow the other. Because like I've talked at length on this channel about how to listen to your body when it comes to fitness, essentially, right? Like I've made a lot of content about how to listen to your body when it comes specifically to nutrition and eating. And I've always been relatively confident in my ability to listen to my body in those ways. And also when it comes to, you know, exercise, like should I push myself today? Should I rest, etc. Those are tools that I feel very confident in using. But something that therapy showed me that I did not have the tools for is listening to my body in like literally any other way. Well, not literally any other way, but like a lot of other ways. And I could give numerous examples, but I think a big one is my like work rest balance. I always grew up just kind of hyper focused on a work goal, always wanting to do my best, perfectionistic tendencies, like always just kind of going, pushing towards a goal. Didn't matter if I was working 90 hours a week and barely sleeping, I would just have a goal and put my blinders on. And the blinders were blinding me to all of the signs that my body was sending me. That was one of the ways that I found a lot of gratitude in going through topical steroid withdrawal, because that's what put the brakes on my workaholism to a certain extent. I'm still working through it, but like I would not be surprised if my workaholism played a big part in why I ended up going through such severe topical steroid withdrawal, because my body was just burnt out because I wasn't listening to it. I wasn't giving it what it truly needed, which was
like a little bit of rest, maybe once in a while, you know? Sometimes rest is good.
And then in like relationships, being in situations where I was being like manipulated and gaslit and not trusting myself. And because I didn't trust myself, and because I wasn't listening to what my intuition was telling me about these situations, I just ended up living in like a constant state of fight or flight because I was so far out of alignment with what I needed and with being in a space that allowed me to feel valued, etc. And basically, this new phase of my fitness journey is really working on tapping into my intuition, thoroughly trusting myself, truly listening to my body in all senses, not just in like what I need to eat that day. And it's crazy because a couple weeks ago before I went to Greece, that was when I realized like all of this was kind of clicking into place, and I was doing these things and like honoring myself, honoring my intuition, honoring my body, and my skin was starting to heal rapidly. Unfortunately, going to Greece kind of undid that because I was in a lot of heat and I was sweating all day. But since I've been back, I think it's starting to get better again. So like fingers crossed. And before I left, I also lost a couple pounds of fat, which I didn't have like excess body fat that I needed to lose, but my body got back to the point that it was when I last felt super aligned in my life, which was like senior year of college. And I feel like my body started just sliding naturally back to that physique that I had at that time in my life, when I was also living a life that was like most aligned with who I was and what I wanted. Then I started doing that again this year, and guess what happened? My body started changing. Wow, it's almost like how every time I talk about mindset when it comes to your health and fitness journey, I've just been right and not taking my own advice as much as I should have been. So that's where I'm at in life, in health and fitness. And I talked about this briefly on my Instagram stories, and I asked you guys if you had any questions kind of about this overall journey. First one up here says, no questions. I also just got to this place and it's so cool to finally have it at 51 years old. Congrats. I love that for you. This is a good question. I want to learn to tune into my body more. I don't recognize the signals it gives. How do you do it? I mean, this is a very broad question.
It would take 5 videos to dive into everything.
But I think the biggest thing to remember is you do listen to your body in some ways. Guaranteed. Like if you go pee when you feel like you have to pee, you are listening to your body, right? Like that is a signal that your body sends you that it needs something. Most of us, barring probably some medical conditions, are able to hear and understand that signal from our bodies. You also probably are capable of understanding when your body is tired, when you need to sleep. That is a signal that we are all very familiar with, and maybe you don't always honor it, but like you hear it and you acknowledge it. Another one would be like the need to breathe. Hold your breath. Within a couple minutes, your body is going to be screaming at you. You are going to be able to hear that signal from your body. Even if it feels like you're super out of touch with your body, just remember that there are little ways that you are still absolutely connected to it, and you can use those kind of as springboards to expand from and to also build that foundational trust for the signals that your body is giving you. My experience has been that I am a lot more connected to my body as a whole and to my intuition as a whole than I realized. I had conditioned myself, or trauma had conditioned me to ignore those signals. So it's not like they weren't there. It's not like my intuition wasn't screaming at me when I was in a situation that maybe I shouldn't have been. It's just that I had many levels of conditioning on top of it that were getting in the way of me being able to actually hear that and internalize it and acknowledge it and act upon it. Because that's like a whole other thing. And that was like the second half of what I struggled with, is like first learning to tap into my intuition and like listen to my body and all of that, but then deciding to act on that, oof, that's just like whole other levels of conditioning that you have to unpack to like take that second step, or at least it was for me. So I think without making you know, a whole video series about it. My advice would be tap into those small things that you're already connected to and then use those to kind of springboard from and expand from there. Someone else gave a very long response, which I love. She said, looking forward to it. I feel like I am entering in something similar, but I still feel very insecure in listening to those cues, and I feel like when I rest, I stay resting and lose sight of my goals or things I told myself I'd be working on during my grind. And this makes me feel scared of resting in the first place. So I would ask, how do you move from rest to work? How not to stay stuck and keep moving forward with work? How to balance both things? I think, yeah, like this is something that I struggle with a lot as well. And I think my biggest takeaway that I have learned is that the pendulum will always swing in the other direction, whether you want it to or not. And so if you are, and this is true beyond just like work-rest balance, but using this as the example, if you are just pushing when it comes to work, eventually that's going to catch up to you in some negative way and force you to rest. Whether it be in a year or in 10 years, like there will be negative consequences. You have to live a life of balance, or else your body and your life are going to balance it out for you. Like again, for me, that was topical steroid withdrawal. I grew up like I've always been a workaholic. Like even in middle school, I was like staying up until midnight to work on projects, always trying to get like 120% on everything. Like
I grew up a true Hermione.
And I carried that with me all the way through school, into when I started working and I was doing social media and also working a full-time job at the same time. I was working like 90 hours a week, driving an extra 10 hours a week, sleeping like 5 to 6 hours a night. I don't even know, had no time for literally anything else. And then topical steroid withdrawal just slapped me down and was like, no, you are done. And I was forced to take a break. I was forced to scale back because I literally could not keep going. And if I had, you know, had a little bit more balance in my life leading up to that, there's a chance that maybe I wouldn't have gone through topical steroid withdrawal. Maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. And it doesn't have to be topical steroid withdrawal, you know, it can be any number of things, but like at some point the balance has to be accounted for. Even if it's just, this is gonna sound really morbid, but like taking years off of your life at the end rather than it actually hitting you, you know, a couple years into being a workaholic. Like I think that's kind of where it gets most people. If your body is not telling you it needs a break, like truly, if you are just like thriving and excited every day, like keep working. Like if you don't feel out of balance in any capacity, and again, you have to be able to actually check in with yourself to know this rather than just like bypassing all of that mentally. But if you can confidently say that you feel balanced, you feel healthy, you feel happy, you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, like you're passionate about what you're doing, like there's nothing wrong with working a lot. Like there's nothing wrong with loving what you do and wanting to maintain that momentum. It's all about finding the balance that works for you and just listening to your body and honoring your body. And if your body has no problem with it, you're good. Okay, the last question, then I have to run to my chiropractor appointment. What practices do you use to keep this advancement going? So to get to where I am now, what kicked off this part 3 was basically my therapy journey and like all of the other work that I was doing on myself outside of therapy. It's not like I just showed up to therapy for an hour a week and wow, I'm cured. It's like, you know, I also read a ton of books. I follow a bunch of people on social media that also talk about all of these things. And there's been a lot of like little profound moments in therapy and in reading like Instagram posts and in, you know, hearing like one quote from a book that just like click things into place. And so that's kind of how I got here. And now to keep this going, I actually feel like my therapist going on maternity leave is such amazing timing for this, because I feel like for the last 2 years I've put so much of my mental energy into healing and growth and all of that, which has been amazing and great and invaluable, but it has taken up so much space in my life and in my brain. And I feel like part of me shifting into this part 3 and living more in alignment, I need to step back from that a little bit, because it's a little bit of like my perfectionistic tendencies pushing me to like keep growing, keep getting better, like keep healing, keep doing all of this work. And I was feeling myself getting caught up in that a little bit too much. And so right now I plan on not doing things. And that is how I'm going to advance in this, is try to allow myself to settle into this new place. Sit and reflect and ask my body what it needs, ask myself what I need, ask if I'm living in alignment with what I want, ask how I can change things to better serve myself and my body. And so that's a really good question. Maybe I'll have to circle back to this question, because I think it is gonna be interesting to find that balance for myself of like putting in practices that are going to help me move forward in this, but not doing it because I feel like I need to be doing things, right? Like it would be so easy to be like, okay, this is my game plan. Like that's my MO, is like, okay, like this is a new thing. I'm gonna make a game plan. I'm gonna do X, Y, Z every single day and like do this and do that and do all the things. And that's what I need to not be doing. I need to stop externalizing the work and instead take the time and the space to go inside. But now I actually have to go, because if I were to be in the car right now, I would be 1 minute late. So bye for now. I am out for a light pre-dinner walk. This is all the movement that I've been getting in the last few days because I've been sick. I have literally just been working pretty much all day other than my chiropractor appointment and snacking. I had some prosciutto, some guac, some pico de gallo. It was gonna be a what I eat in a day video today. It's not anymore. But interestingly, to tie this back into what I was talking about, working actually felt really good for me today. I've been resting the last few days, actively giving myself permission to rest. It's felt good. I feel restored in that sense. And so today has been like a very productive work day, which feels really good. I have a little bit more to do, but I want to not die by getting hit by a car. Okay. And I have a little bit more that I need to get done, but the jet lag from Greece actually reset my sleep schedule in a very positive way. I now have a somewhat normal sleep schedule. I'm not as crazy of a night owl as I have been, and I've been trying to stick with it, but that means shifting my entire schedule, obviously. So I'm making dinner earlier than normal, and that's been like the hardest change, especially now that it's lighter outside. I'm like making dinner, eating dinner while it's light outside. Like that's just weird for my brain. So I'm forcing myself to stop working, make dinner, and I'll get a little bit more work done and then be done for the day. And this is dinner. I have about 6 ounces of steak and just some steamed broccoli and carrots drenched in olive oil, salt and pepper. It's pretty basic for Marissa dinner, I know, but I needed carrots for something the other day. The only way to get the carrots was to get one of those giant bags of carrots. So now I'm just eating a lot of carrots. And for dessert, I have a little piece of brownie left over that I got yesterday. So I just took my cocktail of supplements that I am trying right now to help with my skin. I have a giant mug of tea, as per usual. And it is now time to do my little wind down routine for bed. And I have some time. And the last few days, I have wanted to spend that time creating. So I have been doing my little painting thing at night, but tonight I don't feel like doing that, which is just another example of how I am trying to tune into my body and just really trying to listen and honor what it wants. I think I want to either read or rewatch something on Netflix. Like it feels like my brain just honestly kind of just wants to completely check out right now, and I think I want to go to bed a little bit earlier tonight. Not a sentence I ever thought I would hear myself say. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna just like watch something as I drink this, which hopefully won't take too long, and then just take my time with the rest of my nighttime routine, like brushing and flossing, and that's pretty much all I have left to do. I could put on some lotion. It's really all I got, but I can take my time doing that and then just go to bed. Sounds like it's gonna feel good. So I'm gonna do that. And I think that will conclude this intro to Marissa's fitness journey part 3. Let me know what questions you guys have about this, or any like thoughts, feelings, etc. that you want to share about anything that I've expressed. This is, you know, a new page in my journey, and it's something I'm gonna be discovering along with you guys. So any thoughts, questions, etc. are more than welcome. I will continue talking about all this as I journey through it myself. So yeah, let me know what you think. In the meantime, if you liked the video, please give a big thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel. I really genuinely appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, your family, and your gym buddies. If you want to see more content from me all about health and fitness, you can check it out over here. To see future videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you can notify when I post a video, and I will see you very soon. Bye!